Hello, good afternoon. It's Friday and it's My Left Ear, video 197, March 8th, 2024. And this is a highly political YouTube channel, left-leaning, i.e. My Left Ear. I get a lot of information through My Left Ear, and I use the runes also. Anything you want to know about me or how to reach me or my services, sessions, is in the link below the video. And this is for entertainment purposes only. And needless to say, if you enjoy this, please like and subscribe. And thank you to all the new subscribers. It's going well. All right, here we go. I'm starting now with what I call good evidence. So most of you know what good evidence is. It's not pretend. It's something that really happens that lights us up, or something that we do that lights us up when we do something for somebody else. So good evidence and positive noticing right now is an ebook on Amazon. All right, so we're starting with some good stuff. We had the State of the Union address yesterday. And Joe Biden, our president, got rave reviews. No criticisms. I am not hearing criticisms. And there are people that I would normally hear criticisms, like maybe Donnie Deutsch. Nope. Most people said he was on fire. He didn't have one miss. It was like he was perfect, which is a word I don't use very often. So that's our jumping off point. We can be so proud of Joe Biden and admire Joe Biden. Now, this is breaking. New reports show that under President Biden's leadership, with no help from the Republicans, crime rates are falling at historic rates. That's crazy, and it's wonderful. And we haven't even solved the gun issues yet. Now, there was a brilliant moment at the State of the Union address. And that moment was when President Biden really looked at Scotus, the Supreme Court, in the eye and called them out. This was a very exciting moment and a much needed moment. And see, so he didn't say privately to Scotus, he said it globally to SCOTUS. Really good, Joe Biden. Now, new documents, this is more good news, show, it's evidence, that Senator Ron Johnson, one of the stupidest guys in the Senate, except for Tuberville, his office was told that the January 6th documents were about fake electors. So he was denying this. And at one point last year, he was walking outside, allegedly on the phone, while reporters were asking questions about this nothing little envelope that he delivered. You know, it was nothing. And in that video, he was pretending to be talking on the phone to avoid reporters, and he wasn't talking on the phone. One reporter, said, hey, you're not talking to anybody. Ron Johnson, he's now getting boxed in to the insurrectionist group. But documents, I like evidence, you know that. All right. Now, here's a guy that we've been following each other for years now on Twitter. He's called Tom from Chicago on Twitter. He's very savvy about the political landscape, the behaviors. And he shared something that I thought you'd really like to hear. And I'm just going to read this from Tom Joseph, because it has to do with Jack Smith. Jack Smith responded yesterday to Trump's absurd immunity claim in the classified documents case with another example of a president stealing and selling classified docs. So Smith said, on Trump's view, criminal immunity would shield not only a president who sold documents that contained classified information to an adversary, while president, but also one who designated classified documents as personal, took them with him after his presidency, and then arranged for their sale and delivery after leaving office, so long as he initially took the documents while he was president. Not true. Jack Smith would not use the wording of sale and delivery of classified documents unless he had Trump cold busted. I like that term, cold busted, for doing exactly that. Now, this is the second time Smith has used the selling docs example. So in bold, I bolded this to share with you. Smith has already said he knows why Trump took the documents and what he was doing with them. And then Tom Joseph said, you can take it to the bank that Smith has Trump nailed for sale and delivery of classified documents. This has got to go to trial. I still think it will. I didn't do the runes today, but I still think it will. Now, about 2 days ago, you might have heard that Trump was, well, it wasn't Trump exactly, it was Helena Habba-Dabba-Doo. That jerk. I don't need to be smart if I'm this pretty. She actually said something like that. So she was begging for mercy on video on his behalf. It was very embarrassing. And it was about the judgment in the E. Jean Carroll case. So they were begging from Judge Kaplan, the really tough judge. Now, cut to breaking. Trump has coughed up $91.6 million bond to appeal the E. Jean Carroll verdict, which hers is like 84 million. The source of the money isn't known. He obtained the bond from a company in New York City. That's all we know so far. So I asked the runes, is Trump's bond of $91.6 million via a back channel? Orban, Musk, Putin, Erdogan? I mean, Orban was just at Mar-a-Lago. All right, so I pulled 3 runes on this, and the first rune was separation. And it represents separation, retreat, inheritance. So I guess one would call 9.6 or 91.6 million an inheritance of sorts. And it says, I edited this, but it says, now is the time of separating old paths. It's kind of right on, isn't it? From very rich, from depending on others to bail him out. Runes say old skins must be shed, outmoded relationships discarded. It's a rune of radical severance. And I'll stop right here. And I'll just say this is indicating the kind of peeling off of his life. You know, this radical severance. And it does say even here that it's a peeling away that's necessary. The rune asks that we take appropriate action in order for that to happen. We must remain diligent. Be willing to give up some aspect of your behavior, and that would be Trump. Be willing to give up. Now, he won't do that. He's incapable of doing that. I mean, literally incapable. So this rune of separation speaks of new experiences coming to him. It is often referred to as the rune of acquisition. Well, he got this money he thought he wanted, and we will see. He's not going to win this appeal. I'm just telling you right now. He's not going to win this appeal to reduce the amount for E. Jean. And that very good and very tough Judge Kaplan won't allow it. The appropriate action here is to submit and retreat. He's not going to retreat because, you know, he's running so he can pardon himself. He's not running to be president. He just wants to get that position so he can pardon himself, and he can wreck the United States and all our systems that we have had for years and years. And all of this says, this all may be derived from something you must give up. He must give up his dreams, becoming president again. And it says you may have to abandon some aspect of yourself, your behavior, or part of your cultural inheritance. And his cultural inheritance is blackmailing, being fraudulent, stealing, and not paying. It's a very bad legacy that he has. Well, then I got joy reversed. And I'm going to go back to the question. The question is Trump's bond of $91.6 million a back channel where these possible dictators, authoritarians, rich guys made this happen for him? All right, so now we get joy reversed. Things are slow, coming to fruition. The symbolic process of birth is long and arduous, during which fears can arise for the child within. And you know, Trump is just an evil child. He's like the bad seed, if you ever saw that movie. A difficult passage may be at hand, even if brief. Be deliberate in your choices now, ex-president, because you may be experiencing emptiness for a time. Everything is a test and a learning opportunity. He learns nothing. Okay, so he's an aberrant human, you know. He doesn't fall into any other categories. He's a very aberrant human, Trump is. And then we got the unknowable, the unknowable about this back channel thing. And the unknowable always says blank is the end. It's the end of the former Trump. And blank is the beginning. And it portends a symbolic death. And that death would be, if it's symbolic, it would be his wishes and dreams, his fantasy about taking over the United States as an autocrat. But it often portends a symbolic death. That's actually really good news. So it advises relinquishing control. He's not able to do that. That's the ultimate challenge. And when Odin, that's the name of the unknowable rune, appears in your spread, you can be sure that the unknowable is at work, even though you can't see it. And I'm going to add to this, my left ear is saying the unknowable are surprises that he doesn't want, okay? So the forces that are moving unseen in the background are forces he has put in effect. So it does say it's best to let the unknowable stand empty, ready to be filled with the life you have created from this point. Very clear. It's the life he has created. He is at fault for everything, even though he wants to blame. That's part of his aberrance. He's at fault for everything. Be filled with the life you have created from this point forth. It won't be good. All right, let's just take a moment and talk about this Stepford wife who spoke on video last night, an Alabama Senator, Katie Britt. So Alabama has Katie Britt and it has Tommy Tuberville. These are not brilliant people. I don't know, we don't know how they got into the Senate, but Katie Britt spoke. She was a universal joke, obviously not to the GOP, I guess, but Norm Ornstein responded. And just let me say, Norm Ornstein is an American political scientist and a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, a Washington, D.C. think tank. He is the co-author of It's Even Worse Than It Looks, How the American Constitutional System Collided with the New Politics of Extremism. That's a long title, but it's a good title. So Norma Ornstein is a Democrat. He wrote, one other reaction to Katie Britt's cringeworthy Sotu response. Clearly, the most emotional part was her discussion of the undocumented woman at the border who had been sex trafficked. This is horrible, he writes, but coming from a woman who just endorsed a rapist for president. But see, they don't know the word irony. They don't know the word irony. They don't. And then a woman tweeted, the nerve of talking about the horrors of rape and then promoting a rapist for president. That says it all. I don't think this woman has a great future in front of her. I don't even know that the GOP thinks she did a good time, and people did a good job. I think the lot of comments where she had this little baby girl voice, which some of the GOP women have, this little girl baby voice. Actually, pastor, speaker, pervert Mike Johnson, his wife has a little baby voice. She talks in a little baby voice. Yes, she does. Very creepy. I'm going to mention Katie Porter briefly. She lost the Senate race in California to Adam Schiff. This was expected. I expected it. My question is, who advised her to give up her House seat? It really was ill-advised, unless she just did it herself, didn't ask anybody's opinion. Because now, as of yesterday, the day after, she was very angry. She made a video. She used an unfortunate word that it was rigged against her. Not a smart move for Katie to do that. She is a Democrat. She should support Adam Schiff. She should do what Hillary did when Hillary lost the presidential election, and it was so gross what happened to her. She still was gracious. She still acted with class, and she did what was required, okay? But Katie Porter didn't, and Katie Porter was really brilliant in the House of Representatives. But what she spoke about yesterday, I believe, is really not good for her. So I pulled one rune, and it told me everything. It's going to tell us everything. And I feel bad for her, but I want you to know something. I live in California. And she did get vicious ads against her, but it never said who was paying for these ads. And they were ugly, and I did not like them. So I do want to say that she did get vicious ads, probably with lies. But she was never meant for the Senate. It's very clear. Adam Schiff has earned it. He belongs it. He's utterly brilliant. Okay, so I asked, what's the energy for Katie Porter's future? And I got this one rune, and I stopped, because this rune will always stop me in my tracks. She got the rune of standstill. And standstill is a really creepy rune to get. It's the properties of ice. And the message is, the winter of your spiritual life, Katie, is upon you. You may find yourself entangled in a situation whose implications you are, in effect, blind. You may feel powerless to do anything except submit, surrender, and sacrifice some long-cherished desire. It tells her, be patient, for this is the period of gestation before rebirth. So she might have a second act. She might, but it's going to take a while of healing, because that video, which was not smart of her, is going to follow her everywhere. Not smart, Katie. And yet she was brilliant in the House, and fierce, and she was a fighter, and she had that whiteboard. It's a shame. It really is. I feel sad about it. So this standstill is telling her positive accomplishment is unlikely right now. There's a freeze on your useful activity, and your plans are on hold. That is really literal. I feel bad for the woman. I feel bad that she didn't get the right advice. I wish she had asked me. I knew right away. When she announced that run, I went bad. When she announced wanting to run before Senator Feinstein passed away, I thought that was a bad move. Made her look not good. So we'll move on now from Katie Porter and pray that we get a Democrat to fill her seat. Now, I want to mention a guy named Mark Robinson. He's disgusting, okay? He is running in North Carolina for the Republican gubernatorial primary. But he won, see? He has a history of making inflammatory comments, and he will be facing Democrat Josh Stein, who is the existing governor right now. And this is expected to be a very close race. We'll see if it's a close race. So he does not want women to vote. I'm going to start with that. This awful guy, this Robinson guy, he doesn't believe women should vote. And I heard him say it. He has described COVID-19 as a globalist conspiracy to destroy Donald Trump. In 21, he criticized efforts to teach LGBTQ and issues in sex education, referring to transgender and homosexual people as filth. You heard that right, filth. He has also said people who are gay are equivalent to what the cows leave behind, as well as maggots and flies. He implied at a campaign event last month that transgender women should be arrested if they use a woman's restroom. So I could go on and on about this guy, but I'm going to throw runes on him as we get closer. I think he's going to shoot himself in the foot. That's what I think, but he's really an extremist. And if you have $5 to send his opponent, what it is, Josh Stein. Yes, Josh Stein in North Carolina. Send $5 to Josh Stein. At this juncture, because Biden is going to win the presidency, we can't have an extremist in North Carolina. So we will check up on this dude as we get closer. I don't know if you know this, but Trump insulted a bunch of black voters at a Blacks for Trump event. Can you imagine? And he thought, because he's so stupid, that he was creating rapport. And he said in front of these people, I got indicted a second time and a third time. And he yelled a second time and a third time. And a fourth time. This is what he said. And a lot of people said, that's why the black people like me. Oh my heavens. Born as a millionaire, he was actually saying, that's why black people like me, because I got indicted. So I wish I knew who wrote this, and I apologize, I do not. But this was a comment. No matter one's politics, the fact that a person running for president of the United States made these remarks, period, but also to a public crowd, and with so many black people present, and they stand with him, it's mind-blowing. The remarks are racist. So I asked the runes, will Biden win the black vote? And I got the rune of protection. Rune of protection. Know when it's time to retreat and consolidate. This is telling us. Control of emotions is at issue here. Now, my left ear said to me, Joe Biden should not pander. He should just trust his platform and his experience in what he's doing. He doesn't have to respond to these gaffes about black people by Trump. He doesn't have to. So the rune says, during times of transition and change, it is important not to collapse yourself into your emotions, which is just what I'm letting you know. New opportunities and some challenges are typical of this rune. The rune advises that by giving ground, just trusting, you can actually be gaining. Just be Joe. Do not try to pander to the Black community. They will get it during the course of this campaign, and probably got some last night, okay? Now, the most important thing to know about this rune is Biden has protection, all right? And I think he's going to win more Black votes than what anybody is predicting. That's what my left here. And this is like a back-end good evidence thing, but you know, I like the Palmer report, Bill Palmer on Twitter. He's brilliant, and he's like almost always correct. So this is more good stuff. President Joe Biden is quietly on a roll. He said this before the State of the Union address, like a couple of days ago. President Joe Biden is quietly on a roll. He's racking up accomplishments. He keeps playing the political game correctly, and he surely did last night. Recent election results suggest that he's a lot more popular than his poll numbers. And I told you in the last video 196, stop paying attention to poll numbers. He's got so much money in his campaign pockets. So much. That says a lot. Follow the money, as they said in Watergate. Follow the money. He's got the money, all right? So that's that. And because I gave you so much good news, I'm going to give you a quote that I heard this past week, and I wrote it down. I heard someone saying it on Deadline White House, and I went, that is a great quote. It's by David Jolly, ex-Republican congressman from Florida. He said, the pole of patriotism has to be much larger than the pole of partisanship. And he was saying that to the politicians. Like, guys, women, you've got to make patriotism much larger than your partisanship. And of course, Mitch McConnell didn't do that. He made a public statement. Everybody's spinning about this public statement. It might have been a deal he made. I have a feeling Mitch McConnell publicly supported Trump because he's so proud, he's so angry, and he so lacks ethics of any kind. He was just hanging on to his position. This was his anger, and then his total lack of ethics. Now, I want to tell you something. I've gotten some good information from you guys that's kind of making me change things here a little tiny bit. A really nice subscriber wrote me one day on the YouTube channel and said, maybe you shouldn't do a big introduction. Maybe you should just tell them to go to and get into the material faster. And I thought, I like her suggestion, and I think she's right. And if I watch other people and they get too much into their this channel, their that channel, what they can do and what you should contact them for, and all of that, I don't like it myself. It goes on and on and on. So I thought this was a good, and I don't know if you've noticed, but my intro is so short now because everything is below. All the information is below. The other thing I discovered is maybe one or two videos prior to this, I started with good news, okay? Good evidence, good news. And I got a lot more viewers, a lot, that it was noticeable. I was like, wow. It gave me information. And the information is that you people out there of all ages and others who do not even know I exist, they want some hope. They want some uplift. They want some good evidence, some good news. And you helped me understand that. So I'm going to be looking to report good evidence, because maybe news is not always evidence, you know, but evidence is evidence at the beginning, because it's an uplift. And then it makes taking in the challenges a little easier. And it's like if you're in an interpersonal relationship and you have to deliver some bad news, you try to deliver good news before you deliver the bad news. And mine is just updates. I don't want to say, you know, like if Biden loses, that would be bad, bad, bad news. He's not going to. And by the way, that reminds me of one more thing to share with you, and then I'm done. The shorter the video, the easier and faster it gets to you. So I'm taking a look at my time frame now. But I want to share with you, and this is another piece that I didn't write down, but I'm remembering it, about 3 or 4 days. I watched Lawrence O'Donnell. I think he's one of the most intelligent people on MSNBC or anywhere. I mean, he's exceptional if you listen to his monologues at the beginning. He just basically this week said, Biden's going to win. Biden's going to win. And I'm going, okay, I'm riding with Lawrence O'Donnell for many reasons. So take that to the bank. I'm going to put this in motion and get this video to you. Thank you. And I expect to do a new Patreon over the weekend. So have a good weekend, everybody. And look for good evidence too, okay? Bye-bye.